Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for Arnold, a Netflix original documentary about Arnold Schwarzenegger. There are 3 episodes at about an hour long, and we're going to talk about whether this is worth your time. Is there anything new that you haven't seen from previous documentaries about Arnold? Or perhaps this might be something with a little bit more depth, which is what I think most people wanted, to kind of know the ins and outs behind the scenes that has some heart to it. Let's jump in. Arnold follows the life of Arnold Schwarzenegger from the days of lifting weights to his success in Hollywood, his time serving as governor of California, and both the joys and the volatility, what it means to be a leading man. So in the comments below, let me know, what is your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? For me, it will be a toss-up between something like Terminator 2,
Come with me if you want to live,
and probably True Lies.
Let's go.
I married Rambo.
Yeah, it was difficult for me to categorize of how I felt about it in the first 2 episodes, because really the first episode is just chronicalizing his journey as a Mr. Universe, a Mr. Olympia, all the competitions and what it took, and kind of chronicalizing what it meant to be an Austrian and how that affected his family. Kind of what we've seen in documentaries before or stories told about him, but put in a way that's very entertaining to watch, especially as it comes from his words. We're seeing him where he is now and he's narrating, very similar to that of Still, the Michael J. Fox documentary that we've had on Apple recently. I've got a review, you can check that out. And so I was comfortable with the pacing of it. And then we go from that to the actor. So we've gone from athlete to actor, and we all know, and I was excited to get stuck into that episode with him being the actor, his journey, seeing what it took to become the drive behind Arnold Schwarzenegger, actually some of the nitty gritties of what we don't hear about. That insight to his life and what this documentary portrays is great. And then we get to 3, which is all about the governor, and I'm sitting back and I'm going, this is all great, but it's more like a retelling, a capturing, almost a biography, just kind of retelling of things that we kind of know. What we want is the personal, emotional, real life story of what's gone on behind the scene. The bits that we don't really get to know. If it's going to be a documentary about a person that's really personal, about their life story, you really need to get real with your audience to make it lasting, to make it worthwhile sitting through, because someone so high profile, we know a lot about this, so it's not going to bring anything new to the table. The last half of episode 3 is how it collates all of his journey, and then it starts talking about some of those things that he probably didn't want to talk about, but he doesn't shy away from. So some of the women that have said things about him in the past, about how being governor, some of that didn't go according to plan, about his marriage breakup, about the son that he didn't want to talk about. All of that comes to life, and he doesn't shy away from it. In fact, he kind of wrestles with it. You see the emotion, and I thought that was a really good way to kind of put it together. So we go from some behind the scenes footage to footage that we've probably seen before, but collated in a way coming from his mind. So it's narrated from him mostly, but also from some other celebrities like Sylvester Stallone, how they have a sort of frenemy relationship in the 80s. They're striving each other on to be the best action superstar that was coming out of Hollywood, that started, they really were the drive before that for that sort of action superstar. So seeing that, how that was put together, I thought was excellent, really well paced. But until you get to that last half an hour for the last episode, you're going to feel like it's light in the emotion and the realism, because there is a face that these actors have to put on, the actor's face, the governor face, and Arnie has gone his whole life creating this persona or personas of how he's got to act in the public eye, because he's selling his brand, which is himself. And so I think you get some of that portrayed in those episodes, in moments, and you see it, but you're really wanting to kind of know, who are you actually, what's behind that? And when we start seeing that he is actually human, he does actually make mistakes, then you emotionally get engaged with the documentary, because those first 2 episodes, it feels like he's a superhuman, he never makes any mistakes, he's perfect, he's Hercules, come on, you know. All of that comes into play, and then it really kind of finishes up nicely. Doesn't quite have the emotional impact I think that some people want, but I thought it was very interesting. I wouldn't quite put it up there with still one of the best edited documentaries I've ever seen, but this was very well put together. I think it was a bit long. They could have probably collated it into 2, but because we have those different times in his life which were so epic in nature, but also so prominent in the time scale. You know, it seemed like a natural course to do how he became Mr. Universe, and then the acting, and then the politics, and that seemed to be a nice 3-part course. But there were moments where I felt like they were going over some of the content. Not a lot, but some. But I would say this was enjoyable. It's an insight into him, and I love the way they finished it. So I would rate this 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
You got one. Congratulations.
It's a solid documentary and interesting to watch, not boring. Definitely gives you a way into the man, the myth, the legend, and gives you a little bit of understanding of, hey, he is actually human, which I think is good for people that have grown up watching him Hollywood limelight and then seeing the real human behind that, which actually kind of gives the drive and what he's accomplished so much more weight to it. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. Again, what is your favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movie? I think there's so many to choose from. Thanks so much for being a part of the Ruby Tuesday. Excuse my puffy hair. I'm trying to grow it long enough so I can pull it back, but at the moment it's just been washed, so it's all like thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.